Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Speed Gaming for another wonderful Saturday weekly of our Metroid Prime 2 Echoes competition. My name is Marion, and I'll be your host for today. And joining me is the wonderful Op82 on our tracking team. Now, today's a little bit of a special for our weekly. Now, although we are running on our standard settings, we've got a slight change of pace that we need to quickly go over. Now, with the hint system, you scan a lore, maybe you scan a key bearer, and you get exact information on what that key bearer has in their Dark World equivalent, or that lore scan might tell you exactly where an item is. We got a slight change today with our settings as we're running an experimental new settings. With that, hints are a little bit more varied, per se. So instead of a hint telling you, oh, you can find your bombs in this exact location, hints might tell you an extremely vague item it could be next to, such as your morph ball could be found next to a half pipe. But now you gotta start using your head and think about exactly where your item is. Speaking of which, well, at least we got information for Quad. Quad is half dead. It's always good. We are running with standard settings, so with standard, we will have a Violet Translator start, and we'll be going right here to Umos in the main energy controller. Right away, we find that, oh, we only got some dark ammo today. Nothing we're going to waste our time picking up. And first things first, we get to say hello to everybody's favorite Guardian, Albert the Alpha Splinter. Now, will Albert have something useful for us today? Probably not, but this early on, who knows? Unfortunately, we don't have any of the quick kill methods. No power bombs, no light beam, nothing. We've got to do this the hard way. As for our race today, on the left, cat human, Withbra incorporated on the right side of your screen. So with that being said, again, we are running standard settings. So elevators go where they're normally supposed to. Violet Translator, and we'll most likely be going straight to Aegon Waste as soon as we're done here with Albert. Right off the bat, both runners will be trying to hope for either Space Jump, Morph Ball Bombs, Missiles, Amber Translator for more information. We could use Power Bombs to our benefit. We could Light Beam, Dark Beam, anything would really help us progress through Aegon early. The biggest thing, of course, would be our Space Jump and or our Morph Ball Bombs. Bombs allow us to get multiple items in Aegon while progressing to Dark Aegon, while Space Jump makes general movement a lot easier and allows us early access into Aegon Labs once we've located missiles. Speaking of missiles, how about we have our launcher right here on Albert? That's extremely useful as we get Storage Cavern A as soon as we leave the elevator into Temple Grounds. We've got a missile expansion hiding on top of Transport B access. Nothing we can get right now, but most likely when we take our first save warp, we're going to head right for it. And as you can see here, side by side on the elevators, we do have a little bit of a suit color change. Bra going with the standard orange Varia, while Cat Human's going for a nice cobalt blue. It's a neat little setting that Randomizer has for Echoes. You can use all 4 of the multiplayer suit colors. And Temple Assembly Site doesn't appear to have anything useful. Oh, no, wait, that's a missile expansion. Yeah, we'll definitely take that first. As well as our first E-Tank on Storage Cavern. So unfortunately, we don't have any way to actually get Temple Assembly Site normal. So, as Cat Human pulled off a wonderful job, we're going for a bunny hop. Oh, that's nothing that we thought. That's a seeker launcher. Well, we will definitely take more missiles and early access to seekers. That'll come in handy later when we want to go to Torvus Bog, and especially if we want to go for Mining Station B a little bit ahead of schedule if we find Dark Beam relatively soon. But we didn't. Both runners pulled off a great trick, what we call a bunny hop. By scanning into the ground and dashing out of it, we get a little bit of extra height and momentum. We can preserve that height and momentum to get into the outer range of Temple Assembly Site and right up to that item. And here's our first key bearer hint, which tells us it's a joke. Real quick, I'd like to point out that we have another setting here. We mentioned how lore hints would be a little bit vague. In addition, key bearer hints are most likely, if not all of them, are going to be jokes or useless information. But what's not useless is having bombs before Aegon, and knowledge of the Hive Temple keys. Well, we don't need them. But bombs and Seekers before Aegon, that's going to be extremely useful to us. And real quick, looks like Cathuman's taking a quick detour. We're going to use a nice triple bomb jump to go over the gate, if we time it right. There we go. And so we see a route difference. Bras decided to go right for Aegon Waste due to their bombs, while Cathuman is using bombs to go for Hive Chamber B first. Now, Hive Chamber B is the only item we can get here, as Hive Chamber A is currently locked. Hive Chamber A requires Bomb Guardian to be defeated for DMT to spawn. So until that happens, we're going to take a risk here. Is this going to be worthwhile? It could be a number of items. Double damage and Amber Translator. Interesting combination. Okay, well, double damage, that'll help us out with everything throughout this game. Doing as the namesake implies, we do twice as much damage. Amber Translator gets for us some early information. Yep, and we got a joke hint on that first Amber hint. Well, that's not going to help us out. And here we see the first pirate fight. What a wonderful fight, isn't it? But we're going to make quick work of it thanks to Seekers. 2 missiles per pirate. Oh, we just missed one, but we do want to save our missiles. Thanks to us having bombs, I was able to go right into transport station. Oh, looks like our volume suddenly jumped. Sorry about that, headphone warning. And now we've got our second E-Tank. Not entirely sure why the audio jumped, and apologize about that. But 2 E-Tanks will definitely take 2 E before entering Dark Aegon. Amber allows us to get sand cache and another hint here on mining station A, which tells us a beam can be found in Torm's Plaza. That's extremely useful information. There we go, audio's been fixed. Thank you to whomever's working the audio for SpeedGaming. So, first thoughts. We don't have space jump, but we have bombs and amber, as well as missiles. That allows us to go right for Bomb Guardian. Bomb Guardian unlocks Dark Missile Trooper with Hive Chamber A, so that would be a worthwhile check. Especially for Bros, as we get Hive Chamber B on the exit loop. Defeating Bomb Guardian early, that's nice, just having Aegon Temple out of the way. Another item check done. Now, early on, we really want to clear out as much as early Aegon and early Dark Aegon. So because of bombs, that allows us to go right into Portal Terminal and access Dark Aegon for Jump Guardian. And we can take a peek at Trial Tunnel. And yes, KR, since we do have everything we need... Oh, look at that! A Morph Ball system can be found near a Translator Gate with Spider Ball on Aegon Energy. Near a Translator Gate. Well, we have a lot of Translator Gates, actually, that we could theoretically have an item near. No matter which one is the game trying to tell us. Now this is with the hint change, that really makes you sit back and think. You have to then think about the layout of every room. Where did you last see a Translator Gate? What Translator Gates are open to you? What regions and hinting and so forth. And here we see the wonderful Bomb Guardian. Bomb Guardian's an interesting boss. A few different ways we can do a quick kill, except the only way that we have currently is a 2-cycle. Which I think Brad just pulled off. Yes, we did. Meanwhile, Catchumans decided not to do Bomb Guardian. We're going right for Dark Aegon early. Nope, we just wanted to get the information here. And look at that, we've got yet another translator. Heh, Emerald on Bomb Guardian. Who would have guessed? Well, Emerald's going to help us with Torvus information, as well as allowing us early access into Underground Tunnel once we find that boost ball. And, well, Supers would help us out for Torvus, but not necessarily needed currently. As that boost ball would do us a lot of help. But as far as translator gates, maybe boost ball is in Underground Tunnel? That's a translator gate. That could possibly be it. Who knows? There's a handful of regions that could. Yeah, it could be it. And we get information here from Brock. Can we read this one on Portal Terminal? A translator can be found in a regional temple. Well, we know that to be Emerald. Now, personally, I'm a little hit or miss on these new hints. I think it's nice letting us actually think instead of the game telling us and hand-holding us half the time. But then again, it could be challenging if you're not familiar with Echoes itself. It's a nice little advanced hint system. I like it. Now, unfortunately, we don't have space jumps, so we can't do a quick puzzle solve for Bra on the right. So we will have to destroy the first sand block to then fall down into the third sand block. As for Portal Terminal, the game only checks the flag to see if the third sand block is destroyed, as the game thinks, well, if you've destroyed sand block number 3, you must have destroyed blocks 1 and 2. So if we find a way to destroy block 3, this puzzle will be solved. Right, neat little time save here. And now it's time to access Dark Aegon for the first time. Now, we have Spider Ball, which is great, except it does absolutely nothing for us currently, but it will help later. But our first step is to go fight Jump Guardian, and take a quick peek at Crossroad to see what's hiding on top of the half-pipe. Nice little attempt at a scan dash with that little safe zone. Unfortunately, we didn't go far, but that's okay. What's hiding on top of Crossroad today? Anything useful? Well, it's definitely shiny. My mind's telling me it's a missile expansion. But then again, my eyesight's not the best, so it could be something even better. Now, even though we don't have space jump, we can do Jump Guardian early. With a well-timed bomb jump, we can skip this entire puzzle by going backwards. But we have to be careful with our jumps. There we go. First try for Bra. Catchumans following the same path. We've just come off of Aegon Energy Controller and are making our way to Jump Guardian. And Brush trying to get a little extra height by sloping off of the platform, which we got first try. Saves us from doing a handful of bomb jumps around the room. And now we're going to go check Trial Tunnel. The easiest key that Retro ever made. But do we have a key hiding in the infamous broom closet? Or do we have a useless item? Let's find out, shall we? Well, that appears to be a useless item, just a missile expansion. I mean, more missiles early would always be great, but we're not going to go out of our way to collect it, as we are a little low on health, and we don't want to risk any unnecessary loss. Catchuman bunny hopping their way over to Portal, while Bra Incorporated goes for the all-famous Jump Guardian's hitbox skip. In short, every time we enter Judgment Pit for the first time, Jump Guardian's hitbox will always be spawned in where the cutscene starts, i.e. in front of the statue. if we find a way to come up to this statue without triggering the cutscene, for reference, the cutscene will always start upon entry of the safe zone on the first floor. We can basically shoot anything we want at that hitbox, and it will damage Jump Guardian. Now, neat little fact, Jump Guardian cannot be killed in this manner. Jump Guardian will only go down to 1 hit point, and then there's an internal safety flag, which thankfully will not allow Jump Guardian to be killed in this manner. And now we can lower Jump Guardian's health down, fire a few lemons at it, and Jump Guardian is defeated. Makes a troublesome early game boss into absolutely nothing. And we will definitely take a Power Bomb expansion. And here we see our first use of Spider Ball actually being useful early. As if Junction Site has anything good for us? Yes, it does. That's main Power Bombs. Okay, so having Power Bombs early, there's a lot we can do in Temple Grounds with that. A few quick kills on early bosses, and it opens up a handful of paths. Now, unfortunately, we do not have Dark Beam, so we can't go for in Cache 4. We'll have to come back at a later time and hope that it has nothing. As for Power Bombs, the best manner we have for it right now, we could do a quick kill on Dark Samus 1 over in Main Reactor, or we could go back to Temple Grounds and open up, yeah, we could go to GFMC, we could go use that to open up a Power Bomb door for Grand Wind Chamber. We could also open up Dynamo Chamber. Dynamo Chamber's got an item on it behind Power Bombs. So that's 2 uses we have. And then Power Bombs just do great early game damage. Well, just a high amount of damage in general. But for some reason, early game areas tend to have the most use. Alright, Jump Guardian's been defeated by Cat Human. Fantastic work on the skip. We find that nice little cheeseburger sitting here waiting for us to collect it. And then we're going to go get that main Power Bomb off of Junction Site. Meanwhile, now that we're done in Dark Aegon, Russ going to take their dandy time to head all the way back. Now, because we have Power Bombs, unfortunately still no space jump, we're going to have to take the elevator out or take a save warp. Personally, I'd say you take the elevator out, because that's going to put you right by the Hive Chamber loop. But speaking of a translator and a ball upgrade, remember earlier how we found that hint where Boost Ball could possibly be near a translator gate? Well, it turns out Sand Cache is right here on Mining Station A. With that being a translator gate, congratulations, you just found your Boost Ball. And now that we have Boost Ball, Emerald, and Seekers, that's going to put us right towards an underground tunnel play. Let's make our first steps into the Torvus Bog. And without that Boost Ball, we wouldn't be able to come up here. We could potentially do Out of Bounds, but Out of Bounds without Space Jump is a no-go. We really don't want to do that unless we're in extremely dire circumstances. But since we are in standard settings, let's focus on the logic chain for now. Oh, and Tyrannosaurus trying to play a Senk entrance already. Oh, Tyrannosaur, that's not very nice, but unfortunately that's extremely possible. And Boost Ball was on Mining Station A. Mining Station Alpha. Yes, it is possible that because we have Emerald Translator, Boost Ball, and Spider Ball, Power Bombs, and regular bombs, we could absolutely go for Sanctuary entrance, which would be an absolutely terrible time right now since we have low health and not much else we can do in Sanctuary. Unfortunately, we can't progress forward because we have no Dark Visor. But we will absolutely take an E-Tank on Underground Tunnel, and acknowledge that a charge combo can be found submerged in water. Interesting. Now, immediately, I'm going to go say that if it's in water, you're really looking towards a majority of Lower Torbus. Hydrodynamo Station comes to mind, 'cause that's right there as soon as you enter Lower Torbus. Let's see. What was an underground tunnel? Underground tunnel was an energy tank. That was our 4th E-tank. Or 3rd. I think that was our 3rd. And KRR's already coming out with Airy. Yes, KRR, we could go for Airy, but we don't have all we need. And Airy this early would be no fun. Although I'm sure you would love to see it. But because we went to Underground Tunnel, that's great information for Bruh. Knowing that it charged combos in water, having that information could potentially lead us to supers, or it very well could lead us to Dark Burst, Sonic Boom, or Sunburst. Although I do want to bet more likely than not, it's giving us information where supers are. Alright, so now that we've done Bomb Guardian, Aegon Temple's cleared, that allows us access into Hive Chamber A, so we can go get that item now. Catch Human, most likely going to follow the same path, although we did not go for Underground Tunnel. We decided against that loop. So Cat Human's not going to have that information, which is okay, you know, it's not terrible. It's not going to set us behind any. But here we get to see everybody's favorite mini-boss that I'm going to bet a few of you didn't know existed, including myself. Now, when I first went through Echoes, I never knew you could come back here and fight a boss for a missile expansion. Probably why I never 100% completed this game. But coming back here is absolutely worth it, since DMT's got our first key to the Sky Temple. We will absolutely have a Sky Temple key. That's required to beat the game. Everybody say hello and goodbye to Dark Missile Trooper, as Dark Missile Trooper has multiple ways to be quick killed, thankfully Power Bombs being one of them. And Cat Human showing off amazing bowling skills by rolling right into that Dark Trooper. Double damage for Bra Incorporated. Congratulations. And now both runners are going side by side in the same rooms, following each other's footsteps almost to the letter. As for the best options right now, that's a hard thing to guess. We did defeat Jump Guardian, so I would say going to GFMC Compound and clearing that side of Temple Grounds would be worth it. We have Power Bombs, so you can get Dynamo Chamber along the way. We have Emeralds, we have everything we need for Sank Entrance. So because logically we could access Sanctuary, I would say it would be nice to go get that check out of the way. It's a 50-50 if it is a major upgrade, but it would most likely be worth the extra time. And yes, Cathuman did pick up double damage. He made a slight detour before diving into Aegon to check HCV. So yes, double damage is acquired for both players. With that being said, we got a Power Bomb expansion locked behind a Power Bomb. Great, so we just traded. While Cathuman locates Dark Ammo underneath the safe station and Transport A access. And even better, Sonic Boom has been found. Okay, that tells us the charge combos submerged in water is more likely to be supers, now that Sonic Boom's out of the way. And because we are on New Patcher and there's no runner's agreements otherwise, yes, I apologize, there are no runner's agreements today. And that's mainly because it's the weekly as well. But since we are running New Patcher, GFMC Compound was locked until we had either A, Power Bombs, or B, Screw Attack. Thankfully, Power Bombs were located, so we can access this area. Yes, Tyrannosaur, no agreements, only disagreements today. Do we disagree with this hint, though? Well, yeah, we definitely disagree with that hint. 2 modes is required, folks. Well, you might be thinking, well, what's Tumos? I've never heard of that. Well, what Tumos is essentially the second required Quadraxis fight. Quadraxis holds 2 items on it. The Quadraxis item itself, which we know is useless, thanks to the Violet Hint and main energy controller. But Quadraxis being defeated also allows us to acquire the item locked in Light Suit. I believe that's returning of the, not the quad defeating, I apologize, different flag. That's us returning the energy from Inghive to Sanctuary Fortress. Now, in order to do that, we have to go through Hive Temple, though. Open a Dark Aegon key on top of the GFMC ship. But, long story short, for us to return the energy from Inghive to Sanctuary, we have to go through the Quadraxis battle itself. Now, we don't have to defeat Quad, we only have to get the energy, so it's a possibility we might see these runners do a difficult out of bounds to leave the Quadraxis fight, get the energy, and then leave the temple itself. It is a risky trick, and it's a one-time and done, meaning if you do it once and you fail, you're soft locked. So it's a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see later on. Oh, 25 minutes into this race, and already we've got a required Quadraxis fight. Thank you, standard settings, for being fantastic. Alrighty, looks like both runners are, again, following each other's footsteps, going right for Sank entrance, since that's the most logical play that we have, especially with our equipment. And, oh, was that a Sky Temple key on Sank entrance today? It looked green. No, that's not Sky Temple key. That's either our space jump, a grapple beam, or a gravity boost. And I'm willing to bet that's space jump, just based on the item model. Yep, and nice try with Broad trying to snipe the pirate with a cannon. Unfortunately, the cannon was not playing nice, so we'll have to just use missiles. And hey, look, we have a hint. Oh wait, we don't have Cobalt. The only hint translator we can't use. Oh, if this is space jump, this is going to open up a lot of the rest of the game. This will open up Late Aegon. This will open up access into Torvus. Yeah, that's space jump. Okay. Well, congratulations, Tyrannosaur, for pointing out Sank entrance today. You win a prize. And your prize will be delivered within 3 to 8 business cycles. Alrighty, so let's go and think about this. Well, before we do that, quick trick over here with Bra Incorporated. We're going for FTA peak. With FTA, by jumping at a very specific piece of collision where two pieces meet, we're able to peek our camera right into the item itself. This allows us to get information on what that item is without actually going up the beam of light. And it looks like Chad is saying that there's a possibility it was a green shine, possibly an STK. That's interesting to note. And Cat Human are most likely going for it as well. Yes, indeed. While goes for Wind Chamber Gateway and Grand Wind Chamber. Oh, yeah, that definitely looks green. Yeah, that's... that did not look good. At Grand Wind Chamber, we have a red key. Unfortunately, we need to scan it to figure out what key it is. And sadly, we have no information on the Morbus or Chica, so it's possible that that key might be required. Great job with the extended scan dashing by Bra. by dashing into the ground and releasing at its proper time, along with some other technical ability, which I don't have knowledge on. I'm sorry. I really need to write these notes down. But by doing the dash, we can skip the screw attack requirement for going over this gap, or the super missile light beam requirement. And Cathuman doing a nice rollout jump, get across the gap. First try, by the way. Oh, and bruh is out of power bombs. They're not able to go check Wind Chamber Gateway. Oh, we had to go all the way back to Temple Ground, all the way back to Compound to get a power bomb. Well, that's going to give Cathuman a slight advantage. If Cathuman can get this jump done relatively quickly. Oh, he was so close! So close. Which red key is that, by the way? That's a Dark Torvus key. Oh. Alright, chat, remember that for later. If Chica's required, we need to come back to Grand Wind Chamber. Looks like Cathuman might actually be going for it. Okay, that wasn't expected. But first try regardless. Congratulations. First try. Who would have thought? Apparently, that's a hyper mode trick, according to Sam, one of our database maintainers and our organizer for today's race. So it appears that, correct me if I'm wrong, since Sam's here, we did a bomb jump to get on top of a piece of standable collision, and then just did an extended dash across to where a piece of standable collision was on the gate. And in turn, we just jumped up from the gate. Yeah, okay, so it was a weird scan dash. Well, if Chica's required, that gives Cathuman a huge advantage. Unfortunately, we have no information on Chica, so we'll have to save that for later. All right, let's keep pressing forward, shall we? Braz decided to go for Great Temple one last time. Well, I shouldn't say last. We're going to be visiting here quite a bit, but we're going to use this for Transport A access to get the elevator, while Cathuman pulls off an insane instant morph at the top of the gate and just goes right through it. Now, since we have Seekers but no Supers, we do have the ability to check all of the Honored Dead. This could potentially be a worthwhile item. Currently, for both runners, given what we have and what we need to do, let's see, Dark Beam to access later Torvus would be great. Dark Beam for upper Torvus especially. We could use Supers that would break into Torvus in a couple of different ways. Yeah, I would say Supers or Dark Beam right now would be great. And Supers would also, well, we need Dark Beam to actually get into key hints. So yeah, Supers and Dark Beam would be the two most useful items for us. Now, Screw Attack could potentially help us. Although if we find Light Beam would allow us into later Sanctuary. Oh, the keys to Dark Aegon Temple. Okay, good to have that for later. Where beams? Well, Tyrannosaur, we have knowledge on one beam. We know a beam is on Torvus Plaza. Problem is, where's the other beam? And if KRR is correct, that's going to be extremely painful. KRR, you're absolutely fine because you have the possibility of being extremely correct. The problem is, for Torvus Lagoon, we really need Gravity Boost. If we find Gravity Boost anytime soon, then yeah, let's throw a Dark Beam on on Torvus Lagoon, shall we? You want Annihilator Beam on Airy. Well, first off, that's extremely mean. Second off, that'd be hilarious. Alright, speaking of moving forward, now that we have space jump, we have all the equipment we need to access Aegon Labs. Unfortunately, no light beams, so we can't go through Sand Canyon, but space jump missiles allow us to go through the front door. And this is your daily safety reminder from either workplace and safety. Please do not stand too close to phase-on canisters without proper protection. These pirates run an untimely fate due to standing too close to a highly volatile explosive. Please remember to work safe. Alright, so outside of going to the labs, looks like Cathuman's following, again, the same path that Bruh's taken. We're going right into Aegon, most likely going for labs, since that's the only place in Aegon we can go with our equipment. And we're on a hunt. We are on a hunt, chat. We want to find Darkbeam. We want to find Seekers. Not Seekers, the Supers. We already found Seekers. Oh, we want to find a suit. More E-tanks. We want to find a lot of stuff. And hey, if we find information on what the bosses have, that's just a benefit. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a bit since we've just found super missiles after mentioning it. That totally wasn't planned at all. Alright, so super missiles today are hiding on Central Mining. Great place for it since we actually have these for supers in Aegon Labs. Supers give us a handful of stuff. They allow us into Warrior's Walk. So if we go to Dark Aegon, we'll have access to early Dark Aegon. Supers will also allow us into Storage C. We have Spider Ball and Boost Ball, so that would be completely logical. In addition, if we go back to Portal Terminal, we can use the half pipe to go to Torvus Temple, use the supers to break our way into Torvus without needing Dark Beam. Although not much we'd be able to do. I mean, we could go for Path of Eyes. We could go... Oh, actually, we could actually get that beam on Torvus Plaza, I believe. I think that's a blue door. Nope, no, I think that's a light beam door, actually. We can't do that. Well, we could go to Torvus, get a few items. But I would say right now, we're going to go through labs with the potential, if when light beam, you go for Sanctuary. It depends on what beams on Torvus Plaza. But let's keep on going through labs. And here we see some Metroids held in captivity. That's not very nice. Metroids are not pets. Despite what the lore tells you, space pirates tend to love having Metroids as pets. At least some of them. Alright, so what do we have on Storage C and Bioenergy Production? Please be something useful, and Bruh really needs to have a missile drop. That's light ammo, that's nothing we're going to concern ourselves with. And Bruh really wants to get more missiles since we're down to 1. But now we're out, so that means the game's going to give us a drop. And yes, space pirates dislike theft, surprisingly enough. Oh, and a nice super missile by Cathuman, destroying both pirates at the same time. Yeah, speaking a little bit on Echo's drop system, Echo's has a proactive drop system. As in, whatever you're low on, the game is more likely to give you. So if we're low on missiles, we're going to go get some more missiles probably. Low on beam ammo, you're more likely to get it from the enemies. Although using the alternate beam, you get ammo regardless. Oh, and we're just going to skip over the fact Bruh just did a first try rollout jump onto that second platform. And another scan dash over to Storage C. Movement in this game, very fluid. The game does what you tell it to. Unfortunately, Storage C today didn't have anything of use. And now we get to go through this amazing laser light show puzzle. Our next stop, we're going sand processing. We'll get the item behind the half pipe. And we're going to go fight Dark Samus for the first time. Will our doppelganger have anything useful to give us? Or will she just be another boss to stand in our way with absolutely useless knowledge? Oh, we're about to find out. And thankfully, we're going to find out fairly quickly. Since Dark Samus takes extreme damage to power bombs. Oh, when KR wants to have a key on Dark Oasis. I'm sorry, KR. We really hope you're incorrect on that one, but it's a possibility. Speaking of key, how about we have a Sky Temple key on sand processing today? That's knowledge of 3 keys. Everybody say hello to your favorite Dark Samus fight. And everybody say goodbye to your favorite Dark Samus fight. Yep, Dark Samus is almost instantly vaporized due to power bombs. Oh, and we've just got a light ammo expansion today. Say hello and goodbye once again to Cat Human successfully pulling off a first try quick kill on Dark Samus. Now, unfortunately, because because we don't have any method to open the gate, we have no screw attack, we have no dark beam, and we have no light beam to leave through the sanctuary side by Sand Canyon. We have to use a bomb jump on top of the main reactor's actual reactor and jump out through the main gate. Yep, and it looks like just a missile expansion hiding on main reactor today. Not an item we're going to worry ourselves with collecting. Although at least it looked like it was a missile. No, it's not. I like your enthusiasm, KR, but it's a suit I believe has a larger icon. But whatever it is, oh, Cat Human tried to go get it. And missed the rollout jump. Alright, so Cat Human's going for it again. We're going to roll off this platform, try to get an instant on morph, jump towards the actual... go towards the actual hole in the grate and try to squeeze through it. And yes, to answer your question, KR, all key bearer hints are deleted or removed. Well, okay, nope, that's Powerbomb expansion. Alrighty, well, great job by Catkin, pulling off amazing rollout jumps today. He's making them look like they're easy. Those jumps are extremely precise. They are a lot harder than they look. Okay, so now we're mostly done in Aegon Labs. We will have to come back at a later time to actually go through Dark Labs. But because we don't have any beams, sadly, our best bet is to hope that Torvus Bog holds the answer. We can't enter Sanctuary Fortress at all. We can't go through Sank Entrance since we don't have Dark Visor. We can't go through Sand Canyon since we have no light beam. So what's our other option? Well, we'll have to go back through Torvus Bog. Now, because we have Boost Ball, yes, we could access Torvus, but even better, we have Super Missiles. And because we have Supers, Everybody knows what that means. You better start hoping that Torvus Bog hides the answer. But until we do that, don't make the same mistake I made in the last CGC. Don't forget to check the super hint hiding here in Dark Aegon. There. You don't want to forget Warrior's Walk, as it could change the game. Found that out the hard way. If you have an item, check every location that you can with that item. Yeah, if I had to put something here on Warrior's Walk, Dark Beam. Dark Beam would be absolutely number one. I really want to see that, because that would severely open up Torvus. Okay, that's not quite a Dark Beam. But yeah, let's make it a suit, shall we? Oh my! Let's make it 2 suits for the price of 1! You know what the game said? Hey, do you want this suit? No, double it and pass it to the next person. Well, we sure did that! Okay, that was unexpected. But we're not going to complain. Immediate access for light suit. That's amazing. And what's even better is that because we have supers, we can access the far side. We can access this part of labs. We can't continue by any means. We don't have light beam to actually get through double path. So with these 2 rooms locked by super missiles, we just found both suits back to back. That is incredibly lucky. And what is not lucky is Cathuman's super missile, which just hit a wall. And now Cathuman doesn't have enough missiles to open the second super gate. Oh no! Cathuman, you have no missiles, my friend. Gotta go back and get some. All right, so now we actually gotta start thinking, because the light suit actually changes the path a little bit. Real quick, I do want to point out that our race today was generated by the wonderful Sam. Sam, I see you're in chat. Go in and make yourself known. You're today's winner on creating a cursed seed. Yep, there he is. There's Sam. You can talk to him for whatever you feel has gone wonderfully with today's race. Alright, let's go ahead and take a step back and think about this, shall we? We have no access to Dark World through portals. We have no Light Beam, Dark Beam, Annihilator, nothing. But we have Light Suit, which is troublesome. It's great because, hey, look, you got Light Suit, you don't take any Dark Aether damage. But what can you do with a Light Suit? Well, remember that check over on FTA that we saw, which was slightly green? Yeah, we can go get that now. Well, I guess we get confirmation on what FTA actually has. But after that, there's not much Light Suit itself does for us. We don't have access to any room where it would be useful. So I would say go back to Torvus. Make some route into Torvus. See if you can find anything useful. Because with your supers and boost ball, you've got a few item checks. Do we have Torvus access? Yes and no. Okay, that wasn't a green shine at all. That's a light beam. You needed the light suit to get the light beam. Thank you, game, for being coincidental. That is an interesting place to put light beam. Okay, that actually changes the entire route. All right, so let's hit the rewind button real quick. Okay, so we have light beam. Yay. We finally get a beam 45 minutes in. Correction, 48 minutes in. Alright, so light beam, light beam. Well, light beam opens up Sand Canyon back in Aegon. By opening Sand Canyon, that will allow us into Sanctuary Fortress because we have power beams. Power beams? I'm sorry, power bombs. Yeah, power beam opens the way to Sanctuary, totally. Well, it helps. But yeah, let's... we could go to Sanctuary. We got a little bit of Aegon cleanup. No, I'd say, yeah, go to Sanctuary, actually. Forget Torvus for now. Sure, Torvus is great to go with, but there's... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold the phone. Actually, we have access to get another beam right now. If these runners were wise, which they are, we totally could go for this beam on Torvus Plaza. We got hinted at a while ago. We used the half-pipe to enter Torvus Temple. We used the super missiles to go through the lower path, and that lower path is a blue door. We used that to go into a Great Bridge. Once we're in Great Bridge, there's a light beam door that locks abandoned work site. Even then, I'm taking the wrong path because Torvus Plaza is a totally different region. We don't even need any beams. We just need a light beam to access Plaza itself. Oh, man. No, wait, no. Plaza's a different realm. We can't get that. We can't get that. Oh, we could out of bounds, though. Too many questions. This game really makes you sit back and think. I'm thinking of a different room. This is Torvus Grove, not Torvus Plaza. Even the commentary booth has a bit of a math confusion at times. All right, Torvus Grove. Does this have anything good for us? Well, it has an E-tank. Yeah, we'll take an E-tank. Why not? And we can also take a look at Meditation Vista. Does Med Vista... Oh, it's got a red key on it. Okay, so screw attack lock and a red key. That very well could be a required key. We have no information. But having knowledge is what's going to put us ahead. Okay, so I was incredibly incorrect. I apologize. I'm going to retract my former statement. We do not have access to the beam on Torvus Plaza. We need Dark Beam for it. So I think because we need... No, actually, maybe we don't. No, because we go over the gate in Forgotten Bridge. If we do Forgotten Bridge backwards, we might be able to get that beam, actually. But I think that... I want to say it's I'm about 80% positive that's Annihilator. Oh, okay, we got a movement system near a boost spinner. Movement system near a boost spinner. Okay. I'm going to say that's probably gravity boost. And here's that light beam door I was talking about by abandoned work site. Alright, getting highest key on Great Bridge. Abandoned work site happens to have a missile. We don't have screw attack or grapple beams, so we're just going to ride the external wall. Good job by Bruh. And we've got our first major route difference. Hey, all right, look at that. Nearly an hour in, we have a route difference. Cat Human has decided to go for Sand Canyon and Sanctuary Fortress, while Bruh has decided to dive deeper into Torvus. All right, let's find out which of these paths is correct. And already the cat human's come across another cheeseburger while going for an extremely difficult trick on Bruh's side. I do want to point out real quick, great first try by Cat Human on getting Hall of Combat Mastery, and fantastic job by Bruh by doing Forgotten Bridge Skip. So, real quick, for the trick Cat Human did, there's about 3 different ways to go about that. Never mind, let's forget that trick and say hello to Dark Beam. Oh, that's gonna put Cat Human in a great position right now. While Bruh, we have confirmation that it is Annihilator on Torvis Plaza. And I heard you want more missiles, so I got you unlimited missiles on... Excuse me. Oh, and Colon Chamber. Yep, there's that Annihilator beam. So both runners are in a bit of an interesting situation here. Cat Human has access to light and dark doors, respectively, as well as having everything they need to go through a majority of Sanctuary without problem. On the other hand, Bruh just found Annihilator Beam. That'll allow us access into, yes, light and dark world, respectively, but also helps out in Lower Torvis by going through Transit Tunnel West, or South, one of the South. There's no Transit Tunnel West. So both farms have a great position, and Cat Human just made that entire trick look like it was nothing. Great, I spend over an hour on it, and I can't get it once. A Cat Human does Spider's Tunnel, like, second try. All right, so it's hard to keep up with everything. So first off, we did a trick to bypass the Spider Guardian tunnel item. That item will always be spawned in, so if we can get to that tunnel backwards, we get the item. Thankfully we did a slope jump into an instant morph, while Cat Human has decided to go out of bounds and unlock this spinner without actually doing the puzzle for main gyro chamber. And we did find our second Aegon key. Yes, it was Aegon key 2 on Spider Guardian's tunnel item. And you can't say no to a safety save. Except when you want to use a save warp. Okay, so we're not going through Sanctuary. And we don't have screw attack and grapple beams, so it makes sense why we're not going deeper. But finding that Dark Beam alone, that's going to open up a lot of ground. That gives us full range into Torvis. That gives us basically everything we need for Lower Torvis. That'll allow us into Dark World. We can get Sky Temple Grounds. Oh, but most importantly, we get Sky Temple Key, hence because of that Dark Beam. We can access the Sky Temple Grounds. Yeah, so I think that's what Cat Human's planning. Because we have Dark Beam, let's go get our key hints and figure out what we need to focus on. As for Bra, they've just finished Torvus Fog. They've got an Annihilator Beam out of Torvus Plaza, and have decided to take the route from Torvus into Aegon, and using Aegon to go into Sanctuary. This will be huge for Bra as they get their Dark Beam on Hazencliff, while Cat Human gets information that a movement system is in Torvus Plaza access. Which is interesting because Bra was just at Torvus Plaza access, and I guess it just didn't do it. Unless he did, but Bra doesn't have any movement systems highlighted. Okay, we're going to need to have someone review the VOD on that one. Well, we get more information on a confirmation. Let's go ahead and continue forward, shall we? So instead of going for key hints, looks like Cat Human decided to go into Torvus. Interesting. I mean, you don't need to waste time to get key hints. It would be nice to have, but you might as well keep going with the information. Okay, so it appears Bra completely missed that movement system then. If that movement system was gravity, ooh, that's going to be a big shock. Okay, and there's information for a movement system near a boost spinner. There's no boost spinner in Plaza though. Ooh, this really makes you sit back and think. Alright, so Bra's decided not to go further into Sanctuary. They found Dark Beam and are diving out. And possibly going for a save warp? Or nope, we're just taking a safety save. Oh, I called it. Of course it's a save warp. Alright, so let's see. We're in Torvus. Time to go for another Forgotten Bridge skip. So over on the left, Cat Human is going for a bomb jump into an instant morph. We're landing on a piece of extended collision. So just on the other side of this gate, there's a small metal beam we can stand and walk on. And I didn't even finish explaining the trick while Cat Human completes it 100%. At this point, I think we should let the game do the talking. But no, if we do a bomb jump into an instant unmorph, we get just the height and distance we need to land on a piece of standable collision. And then by balancing the morph ball on that collision, we go for yet another bomb jump into an instant unmorph to jump over the gate. It is a difficult trick. It's not impossible to learn. It just takes a lot of practice. Keys to Dark Temple, don't need them, hopefully. And here we get confirmation that Torvus Plaza access. The movement system in question was Grapple Beam. Okay, so Grapple Beam was on Plaza access. That means that the movement system on a boost spinner has to be Gravity Boost. And the first one that comes to mind, I'm thinking... I want to say Torvus. It's got to be lower Torvus. Can we get hints? Yes, we have everything we need for hints, K-Rar. We have supers, seekers, beams. We get everything we need. I want to say training chamber. That's where I'm going to put my money on. Training chamber has gravity boost. Yep, and Cathuman decided to skip the entire puzzle. Well, not the entire, but a majority of the puzzle here at Torvis Plaza. And we get our Annihilator Beam. Meanwhile, Brez decided to take the smart approach and say, hey, wait a minute. I have everything I need for hints. I'm going to go get those. That's a smart thing to do. We have knowledge on 3 keys. We are still missing 6. It is anybody's guess. So it's time to play everybody's favorite mid-race game. Guess the key locations. We've got 6 keys to find today, chat. Any of which could be in a number of locations, including major bosses. Except for Quadraxis, since we've already got that hint. Let's take a guess, figure out where our keys are at, and let's see if we get anything cursed. Outside of Tumos, which we've already confirmed. Key number 1, we have the following. Hydro Chamber Storage. Okay, so that's Alpha Blog.
Recording to logbook.
Poison Bog. Interesting. We need Dark Visor.
Recording to logbook.
Dark Torvis Temple. Okay, which one of you said Chica was required? Oh, KRR, I'm putting this one on you, buddy.
Recording to logbook.
Hive entrance. Oh, great. So we gotta go all the way over there. Dark Torvis Cache B. And a Cursed Lake. When I asked for the game to not give us cursed locations, I wasn't expecting it to give us almost every cursed location. That's a very interesting layout. So, since we have time while Cathuman comes out of the Torvis Lagoon, after going through Plaza, most likely going for key hints, let's take a step back and think about this, shall we? Hive Chamber A, we already have. Sand Processing, we've got that one. Tumos requires the Hive energy to be returned to Sanctuary. Hydro Chamber Storage, we need Gravity Boost for, or we need to go through Power Bomb Guardian. One of the two will work. Although Gravity Boost would be the best option, which we might know the location of. Poison Bog. In order to get Poison Bog, we need Light Suit and Dark Visor. We have Light Suit, now we're just missing the Dark Visor. Dark Torvis Temple, we need all 3 of the Dark Torvis keys. Fun fact, these 3 keys are the only red keys which have absolutely 0 way of bypassing. Meaning we need to figure out every single Dark Torvis key location before we can access Chica. There's no way to start the cutscene. There's nothing without them. Oh, and Cathuman pulling off a fantastic boost roll. Nice boosting all the way across. And you're going to be sadly disappointed with today's locations, though. Let's see, where were we? Hive entrance. Hive entrance, we either need a screw attack. We need screw attack, Dark Visor, or we need to do an extremely difficult out-of-bounds climb with Dark Visor. So either you get the screw attack or you go for out-of-bounds. My money's on you find that screw. You find the screw attack. At Cache B, we need supers for, which we have. And a Cursed Lake is basically a freebie at this point. We just need Dark Visor. So, okay, like the biggest headache I would say that these runners are going to face is just trying to find the Dark Torbus keys. That and trying to find Screw Attack. That appears to be the real big headache. Now, theoretically speaking, we don't need Echo Visor. Its only real purpose would be for checks in Sanctuary, a handful of scattered checks elsewhere, and for the Quadraxis fight. But we don't necessarily need it if all goes well. And since we're low on health anyway, and took a safety save, Cat Human's opting for the Death Warp, back to Torvus Bog, so we can continue forward. Speaking of moving forward, how about we take a peek over at Torvus Temple, go through this pirate fight. So as far as routing goes, that's also going to be another challenge as far as the base. Well, but the good thing is, hey, because Cat Human got that grapple beam, we have knowledge on the first Dark Torbus key, which is on Holovize. Yeah, Holovize, I want to say. Well, information on this Emerald Hint tells us that a Morbus has a missile expansion. Okay, we know a Morbus is not required. Oh, Path of Roots. Oh, and right, Grand Wind Chamber. Oh, ouch, I remember. Okay, well, it turns out Bro's going to have one bit of a backtracking journey to take. Remember when Cat Human went for the skip in Red Wind Chamber? Yeah, that turned out to be a Dark Torbus key, which we absolutely need. Oh, underwater seekers, and of course they don't work the first time you ever try them. Trying to use seeker missiles underwater is like trying to use basically nothing. Underwater seekers never work the first time. Okay, now I want to see if the prediction we made earlier is correct. As remember how we had a movement system near a boost spinner? Here in Training Chamber, there's a boost spinner. So it's entirely possible that the gravity boost is hiding here. Let's find out if we're correct. Unfortunately, to get across, we either need to just do a scan dash, or we need to go through the actual room, which we can't do because, well, we don't have gravity boost. So we have to do the scan dash method. You know, that either that or we have Screw Attack, which obviously we don't have Screw Attack. Oh, wait a sec, movement system. Yeah, Screw Attack could be there as well. Good job on the dash. Is it hiding here in training chamber? No, not today. A progressive suit can be near exposed phazon. Thank you, game. We've already got that. Alright, so while not a movement system, we do have Dark Visor here. Dark Visor is an integral part of today's race. We need it for a lot of checks. And not only for the checks, but to get the SDKs. We need Dark Visor for a Cursed Lake. We need it for Poison Bog, Dark Forest Temple. No, not necessarily. We could... Nice hint. A visor can be found submerged in water. Well, thanks, game. We just found one submerged in water. You're very helpful. Even with the new hints, sometimes they can be absolutely not helpful. Although it would have been helpful if we found it before going to training chamber. Okay, so Gravity Boost is here on Gathering Hall. Oh, Dark Torbus Temple keys. Okay, Dark Aegon, Temple, and Torbus. Okay, we are just missing the Dark Aegon then. But seeing how Gravity Boost is here on Gathering Hall, we are totally going to get it. And instead of doing this puzzle like a normal player would, Cat Human shows us his dexterity and amazing skills by going for a roll jump to completely bypass the entire puzzle. Alright, and it looks like Braz found that Gravity Boost as well, with information for the Dark Torbus keys. We are still missing that key from Dark Aegon, which at this point could be either Incash 4, Dark Oasis, K-Rar, that would be your fault. It could be Sonic Boom Room, could be where Light Beam usually is, could be on Feeding Pit, yeah, practically anywhere in Dark Aegon left at this point. I will say, though, while we're here in Lower Torbus, it's a good time to sit back and reflect on the music of this game. It's very calming and peaceful being here in Torbus. It's a nice step away from all the chaos and the chaotic fights we've had. We can just sit back and relax to the soothing melody. But we can't sit back and relax for long. We've got a race to win. Alrighty, looks like Cat Human's going right for Training Chamber. Gonna find that Dark Visor that was hinted at earlier at Catacombs. While Bruff finally finishes the puzzle to Gathering Hall, and obtains their gravity boost. Nothing wrong with the gravity boost in the morning, eh? But that's a-okay. We're going to keep on moving forward. Now, we do have a key down in Hydro Chamber storage, so we will have to say hello to everybody's favorite blog, the Alpha blog. Oh, well, there's not much else going on right now. Although we do have to go all the way down to Lower Torbus. Which we're already in, but we gotta go all the way to the depth. So why not take a stop over at Powerbomb Guardian and see if Powerbomb Guardian has anything for use. Now, even though we are searching for our STKs, we're still shy of a little bit of required equipment. Powerbomb Guardian's an interesting boss fight. You can only fight this Guardian while in Morph Ball. One out of only, like, 3 bosses in the entire game that has this feature. You have Powerbomb Guardian, Spider Guardian, and if you really want to push it, you have that Caretaker Drone over in Sanctuary. No one likes fighting Caretaker Drone. Nope, we're still missing Screw Attack, Sam. And because we have no Screw Attack, we can't get this item here on the Screw Attack wall. It'd be hilarious if this Screw Attack wall had anything major on it, because then we'd have to come all the way back at a later time. But although we're doing Powerbomb Guardian for a good reason. Remember earlier how we had a hint that Dark Aegon has one of our Dark Torbus keys on it? Dark Oasis is potentially the answer. And because Dark Oasis has the potential of being the key, we need to defeat Powerbomb Guardian to actually make that item spawn. Yep, and just an E-Tank on that Screw Attack wall. Guess we're not going to get it. And speaking of not getting it, we're not going to fight Alpha Block either. By doing a bomb jump and boosting all the way up to a platform, we can simply just walk out of this room, no questions asked. So all of you who might have had trouble with Alpha Block, let's just simply leave the room. And while one runner comes from Powerbomb Guardian to continue their trek through Torvus, the other enters Powerbomb Guardian. You thought this boss was over? Nope, you get to see it twice. Two times the fun. We're basically just swapping screens altogether. Cat Human going for Alpha Block, Bra going for Powerbomb Guardian. Is it correct? No, I think Cat Human might have a total of 3. I think he did sand processing. At least I hope he did sand processing. Alrighty, well, we're done in Lower Torvus for now. Time to head out and continue along our ever so faithful journey. Biggest thing for Cat Human right now is going back to Dark Aegon and doing some cleanup. Sanctuary we really don't want to touch until we find Screw Attack. Hopefully Screw Attack isn't vanilla, because it's being a lot of headaches. But by going back to Aegon, we really want to get that last Torvus key and get Chica out of the way. As when we go to fight Chica, we're going to get 2 keys for the cost of 1. As Dark Torvus Temple has 1, and Cache B also has 1, right behind the start of the Chica fight. So getting 2 keys, yeah, I'd say it'd be worth it. Especially since everything... Oh, we'd actually get 3. I'm sorry, because Poison Bog is also in that loop. So we get 3 keys just by going to fight Chica. Funnily enough, the only key we need out of Sanctuary is going to Hive Entrance. And Hive Entrance we can't do without Screw Attack, or a really difficult out-of-bounds climb. But is the key here just on Ink Cache 4? Nope, but we're now officially validated. Hour 25 in, congratulations Cat Human, your run is now valid. Meanwhile, Sprouse decided to take a light beam to Grapple Guardian, making short work of this boss fight. Can we find anything? Nope, Grapple Guardian just has dark ammo. And smart move by not picking up the item, as Grapple Pirates will not spawn without that item being picked up. Now we do have Dark Visor, so thankfully the Battlegrounding cache is open to us. And it turns out to be absolutely nothing. So while we go from one absolute 0 to another, let's check out the dungeon. Why do we have a dungeon which is fully submerged in water? Who knows? Who has the answer? That's a good question. One that we're not going to think about. But dungeon might have something useful on it. Again, we're still searching for that Screw Attack. And Echo Visor. Yeah, Echo Visor? Well, no, we know where Echo is. No, we don't. No, we don't. I'm thinking Dark Visor. Yeah, if we find Echo, that would open up a few more checks. It turns out Light Beam Room had nothing. You know what? I'm getting real tired of that game. Never mind, we don't need to hunt for Echo Visor. We just found it on Feeding Pit. That'll open up a lot of the Echo checks. We got a handful in Sky Temple, a lot in Sanctuary. Well, that'll help if we ever become desperate. Yep, and it looks like Brad just got eaten by a blog. That's not very nice. You don't want to eat that blog. That's all full of metal and other objects. You don't want to eat metal. Okay, well, that's an interesting development. So, we were looking for Screw Attack, right? Well, it turns out Screw Attack was locked on Dark Oasis. So, we had to defeat Powerbomb Guardian to get Screw Attack. Now, who could have thought that one up? Well, that puts Cathuman at a huge advantage. As now, basically, we're in go mode outside of STKs. Cathuman has every major upgrade that he needs. Outside of Cobalt Translator, which at this point we don't really need. Period. Cobalt only gets us Stank Map Station, which we don't need since we know the Dark Torvus key is here in Dark Aegon. Never mind, it's right here on Sonic Boom Room. You want a Sonic Boom? I'm sorry, you get a Chica key instead. Yeah, Cathuman in go mode. That's all 3 Dark Torvus keys. That's all majors that are required. All he's gotta do is go get the rest of his keys, and this is it. Unfortunately for Bruh's decided to take a deep dive into Sanctuary. While absolutely plausible, you diving into Sank is not a bad play. Unfortunately, the answer was so arbitrary that it would have been hard to think of. Although I think what really put Cathuman ahead is focusing on the Dark Torvus play. You want to get Chica defeated. You know that the information said a key was in Dark Aegon, so you focused heavily on it. That helped. Going through Sanctuary, yes, there's a lot you can do. Yes, you're looking for screw attack, but unfortunately, the game just was not on his side today. Even though we're going through Sanctuary with the hope of trying to find screw attack, we can do almost everything here. The lack of Echo Visor for Airy and other checks, that really would be a little off-putting. Like, well, I really don't want to dive Sanctuary quite yet. But I think Cathuman's routing of doing Aegon first, then Torvus, once having the knowledge of STKs, going back through Torvus to get into Aegon, focused heavily on that Chica fight. That's really what put Cathuman in the lead for this one. A lot cleaner execution of the tricks and the movement, and general routing was superb. And KR nothing about Airy, just saying that Airy is completely dead today. Airy has nothing that would be required. Well, as Bruh decides to make their way out of Sanctuary and into Aegon, this could be a good play for Bruh, as they have everything they need for Dark Labs. We have Powerbomb Guardian defeated to open Dark Oasis. In turn, Dark Oasis having Screw Attack will help push Bruh towards the path of victory. So which runner is further ahead? Yes, Cathuman does have a slight lead on the time, but with Bruh going back to Dark Oasis, yeah, that's going to help, especially with Screw Attack. Although what's going to hurt is that Bruh is still missing all 3 Dark Torvus keys. We're going to get one on Cache 3, but the other one's on Path of Roots, which is by Torvus Lagoon, and the one that's really going to hurt is going back to Grand Wind Chamber. Bruh did not scan that key, so there's a 50-50 that it's either Aegon or Torvus. Or no, it could be at 33.3 with it also being in Hive. Speaking of Hive, let's go into Hive entrance. Get this outlier key. By outlier, I mean it's just the only one in Hive that we need to worry about. I'm not counting the energy transfer as part of Hive, since well, you actually get the key from Umos. But I mean, this is just terrible location after terrible location. Yeah, true vanilla STK. You're correct, Tyrannosaur. It is a vanilla STK. And a congratulations to Bruh for finally getting run validated at 134. The energy transfer module has been obtained. Although I will say, I know it's been theorized by others. I know others have made this recommendation, so it's not an original thought. But I'm hoping maybe one day with Randomizer, make it so that your energy transfer module is required to actually get planetary energy. That would be an interesting choice. And what's interesting here is how Cathuman has Echo Visor. They have what they need to open this door, but they're just choosing to go around it. But this also does help, since by going out of bounds here, we could potentially go all the way around to the Hive Energy Controller. It's risky, especially doing that long of an out of bounds, but the potential's there. Oh, and Bruh finally has their screw attack from Dark Oasis. Such a bad location for screw attack to be in. Alright, now here comes the difficult part. Now, you thought tricks were hard. Yeah, well, now we're going for one of the hardest. We gotta do a multi-room out of bounds around Hive Temple to get to the Hive Energy Controller. And we have to do this twice. Once to actually get the energy, and once to actually leave. Now, I'm in no way an expert on out-of-bounds movement, but I will say that the short of it is that every room in Echoes is in a box. When we move outside that box, we slowly rise up through the aether. So runners and tricksters alike are going to manipulate that to their advantage, and who cares? We actually made it across first try. Okay. Fantastic job by Cathuman. Absolutely amazing. Now we have the energy from Hive, and now we get to go out of bounds and do it all again. But you might be wondering, well, how exactly do we go out of bounds? Just like that. Well, nope, we almost had it. Oh, there we go. So essentially, we just clipped our way out of bounds through a piece of collision. By screw attacking, our hitbox becomes the size of a morph ball. When our screw attack path eventually ends, the camera's going to force us into an animation where it tries to stand us up, or we get bonked off of the wall. What we did is we landed on solid ground, so the animation for the screw attack canceling played through. But because our hitbox returned to normal, and it was against a piece of collision, that collision essentially pushed us out of bounds. As for some reason, two objects cannot obtain the same space. So because object 1, in this case our hitbox, was obstructing object 2, In that case, the collision, Object 2 decided to push us out of bounds, which is thankful for us. And so now that's yet another key going to Cat Human eventually. We're going to return the energy to Sanctuary, and that will allow us to get Tumos. Although granted, we're not going to get that key until basically... Actually, we're probably going to do that right now. As once we return the energy, we're done in Sanctuary. We don't need anything else from it. Alrighty, so as far as routing goes, well, bruh's slowly catching up. Yeah, not doing too bad. We just got that key from Hive Entrance. So, the next thing on bruh's list is to get the energy from Hive and return it to Sanctuary. Will we see the same trick pulled off? Or will bruh go for a much safer strat and start the fight and use the fight as a way to bypass? It's anybody's guess, but I would say bruh most likely will go for the out of bounds. Yeah, Cat Human definitely has the lead by far, since we have all the keys to Dark Torvus. The biggest problem bruh's going to face is trying to route in Grand Wind Chamber again. Grand Wind Chamber is just out of the way, regardless of where you go. So, best case scenario, bruh goes to Hive, gets the energy, returns it, takes a save warp to Tumos, gets that key. Congratulations, he got the key now. And then goes through GFMC compound to go to Grand Wind Chamber. It's out of the way, yes, but it's the best case that bruh can pull off right now. If bruh remembers that red key is there. Alright, so bruh's going for the... Oh, no, bruh thought about it, but now he's decided against the out of bounds. Nope, we just want to get the Echolocks out of the way. Alright then. Alright, so out of bounds. We're using a triple bomb jump to go into a piece of standable collision and quite literally jump out of bounds. Meanwhile, Cat Human's going for a save warp to get the Tumos key, and we'll be heading back to Torvus Bog for final cleanup. So, out of bounds. Every room in Echoes is contained in a box, a big old cube, if you will. Now, moving inside the cube, moving inside your rooms, we all know how that works. You jump as normal, you have no problem. When you move outside of that box, now you're in a bit of a weird situation. Since while we're in that in that box, we slowly rise through that room. So we're trying to find a good way to just jump through that room without getting stuck. Yeah, fun fact, if you ever screw attack, you're gonna get stuck almost every time. Never screw attack out of bounds. And don't ever morph while you're in out of bounds, as morphing sends you to the bottom of that box. I learned that the hard way a few times. But here we see the out of bounds, bruh going right over Quadraxis's sleeping body. And now we're thankfully in the energy controller. So that's going to put the keys to 5 for bruh, 4 for Cat Human, except Cat Human is ahead. If Cat Human continues to have this good of movement execution, Yeah, this race might be set. Here we go again for Bruh trying to go out of bounds. Gets its second try, no problem. Let the collision force us out. And now we got to go do the same thing again and go all the way through the temple. Thankfully, the cutscene trigger for the Quadraxis fight is by the elevator of Hive Temple. There's a little bitty elevator that we use. Thankfully, we don't ever trigger it. Open Cat Human showing that if you can screw attack against it, we can just clip right out. Sure, why not? Let's go out of bounds again. This is actually a good out of bounds. We're using this to access Dark Torvus without going through Forgotten Bridge. So remember how I mentioned that a screw attack is essentially the same size as a morph ball? Well, we're going to use that to our advantage. We're using the screw attack's morph ball-like hitbox to go into a morph ball-sized opening. And then again, once our animation ends, we're going to be forced out of bounds. And let's get that STK off of Poison Bog. That brings the total up to 5. So now we're at 5 all around. Bruh has decided to clip back in bounds at the Hive entrance, at the Hive Temple entrance. And now we need to go over this gate since we never lowered it. Although granted, we don't have the keys, so we couldn't lower it. And congratulations to both runners. They have successfully skipped the Quadraxis fight requirement by going out of bounds and just saying no thank you to Quad. And that was smart by Bro. By lowering that echo gate, we could go right through it on the exit, instead of needing to take a lengthy out-of-bounds trip back to the gate. Good job. Quick little ammo refill. And I am just now being informed that neither runner has cannonballed. They're going to have a fun time with Chica Adult today. But first, key number 6, aptly named. That's 6 Sky Temple keys to Cat Human. And it's now time for everybody's favorite boss fight, the Chica Larva. Putting those unlimited missiles to good use, since, well, we can fire them limitlessly. And we're doing a neat little thing here. By scanning Chica, we can lock onto its weak point, instead of having to manually aim. We'll use Light Beam as a scatter shot to damage Chica as much as possible, and then fire a super missile right at the chest. Now that's the first part. Second part, when Chica actually grabs onto the platform, we are just going to spam Fire Annihilator like crazy, thanks to double damage. Oh, or Dark Beam. Alright, Dark Beam also works. Now we're standing to the side of Chica, since by standing to the side, Chica can't target us or lock onto us. That extends Chica's time on the platform. And we use that to our advantage by doing maximum damage to them. I could have chosen better adjectives. And thanks to the fact we have double damage, we only need to fire 1 missile at each wing to force Chica into the dark adult phase. Thank you, Seeker missiles and double damage. And we'll just use Light Beam on the dark adults. A few Light Beam shots later. Oh, now we're back to destroying the wings. Charge Dark Beam to the face will stun it, walk around, and blow up the wings once again. Except Chica Adult is not allowing us. There we go. Thank you. Please stand still so that we may annihilate you. Thank you kindly. Meanwhile, Bruh's going for Cannonball. Interesting choice. That could be a good time save later on. But depends on how fast Bruh gets this. And Chica is down. That's a 7th key to Cat Human. And while Cat Human has a 7th key, Bra successfully obtains the Cannonball feature. Great job. And since we do have a little bit of time and we mentioned it, some of you might be wondering, well, what the heck is Cannonball? I've never heard of that item. Well, my friends, Cannonball is a very interesting state. Now, anytime we enter an orb cannon, the game gives us the actual item known as Cannonball. But that item is automatically removed from our inventory upon reaching the end plate of that cannon trajectory. By manipulating out of bounds and some camera angles, we can force ourselves to keep that item. Now, first off, that item does 3 different things for us. Number 1, we take no damage while in Morph Ball mode. Number 2, we have a mock boost ball feature. So if we're missing boost ball, we can just get Cannonball and use that as a substitute in certain situations. And number 3, which is the most important for us, certain enemies take 500,000 hit points of damage per successful frame, which is absolutely incredible. Thankfully, the adult form of Chica is one of those enemies. And since 500,000 is a lot more than Chica Adult's health bar, the fight instantly ends. Wonderful time there. But as far as getting Cannonball, Cat Human went for the double damage method. It didn't take too long to fight Chica with double damage. Bros decided to go for the Cannonball method. As for Cannonball, best way is over in Worker's Path, which we successfully did. We load Sanctuary, we go out of bounds, that's number 1. And we're keeping Sanctuary Temple loaded while being in Worker's Path, so the wrong room is loaded on the mini-map. And because of that, our camera angle is a little set off, and we're going to have some weird movement. So because the wrong room is loaded, if we try to use an orb cannon, the orb cannon just fires us out of bounds. Well, we're now out of bounds. We didn't hit that end plate. Congratulations, you've successfully obtained Cannonball. Now, as far as losing Cannonball, if we were to take a death, or if we reset the game for any reason, we're going to lose it. And if we enter any orb cannon. Thankfully, we don't have to do any of those 3. Unless we crash, which hopefully we don't, but we're not going to jinx it any further. There's the 7th key for Cat Human, or I believe in this case we're at key number 8. No, I think we're on 7, because there's 2 more. We have... no, we did that. Actually, what is Cat Human missing? Because we just did everything. Hive Chamber Race done, Sand Processing, Tumos, Hydro Chamber Storage, Poison Bog, Dark Torvus Temple, Hive Entrance, Dark Cache B, and Curse Lake we just did. That might be all 9. Huh. Unless we're forgetting something. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. And speaking of a cursed lake, looks like Bruz making their first steps into that heinous passage. The room that takes forever to load. And now we're at the lake itself. Congratulations, there's yet another key for Bra. And the others are all at Dark Torvus. But speaking of which, while Bra has to go through the entirety of Dark Torvus, at least Upper Dark Torvus, a Cat Human can go right for final bosses. So unless Cat Human makes a major mistake or a malfunction, this victory is almost sealed. Now, final bosses can be a little interesting. Emperor Ring phases are a true test of strength at times. And hopefully the Emperor Ring doesn't glitch out. So we're going to figure out what happens. But first things first, we actually have to open the gateway to the Sky Temple. And look at that, our Seekers worked first time. And it looks like Bra remembers where that key was. Yep, Bra's going right for Grand Wind Chamber, heading straight for that key, while Cat Human enters the Sky Temple. Oh, and first try, Grand Wind Chamber skip. Great job. Fantastic work. Alright, now we don't ever have to come back to this region. We're going to go right through Torvus Lagoon, since we moved the light block out of the Super Missile Door. Let's go right into Torvus Bog, and let's go fight Chica for yet another key. Alright, Emperor Ring. We're nearing the final stages. Emperor Ring number 1, we'll use Light Beam on the extended tendrils to force the core open. Once the core opens, we're going to spam fire our Annihilator since we have double damage. And look at that, the phase is over quite instantaneously. Phase 2. We're going to roll around on this exoskeleton, and we're going to blow open these culverts. We got 11 culverts total. If we get 4, 4, and 3, 3 power bombs would be the best cycle. Yeah, speaking of best cycle, there we go, first try. Alright, Emperor Ring number 3. There's a few ways we can damage it, one of which is an interesting one. Back during development of Emperor Ring 3, there was meant to be an additional damage step with armor. The fight's over, who cares? Who cares? The fight's already over. I haven't started yet. Go back and fight the boss again. I wasn't done. Alright, either way. Emperor Ring 3. There was supposed to be an additional damage step where you destroy armor. And that armor could be damaged by Screw Attack. Well, in short, that armor step got removed, but the developers left over the Screw Attack hitbox. And because that hitbox is still active, we can damage Emperor Ring by that hitbox. And surprisingly, it deals a lot of damage. Alright, Dark Samus 3 and 4. What we're doing, we're firing about 10 to 11 Annihilator shots and a couple of Power Beam shots. We want to force Dark Samus into a very specific health region. We're going to have her crash up and then crash down. This is where she tries to enter phase 4. Now, during this phase, when she tries to go to the center of the room... Oh, that's a great Screw Attack, though. Perfect work. And that one as well. Second Screw Attack went quite well. That's it! Fight's over! I can't explain anything today. I've got no time! Sub 2 hour with all that chaotic. Great job. Absolutely outstanding. And that's a confirmed forfeit from Brad today. That was such a clean Dark Samus fight. I can't believe it. And with that being said, we welcome Cathuman to the booth. Welcome. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good.
First and foremost, I don't know what you did, but from the start of Emperor Ring 1 to your final Dark Samus 4 hit, I couldn't get any explanations out. You were just doing it so clean. You were on point with everything. It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, pretty standard. I mean, the Ring 3 could have been better, but you know, can't be perfect.
I'd say you're pretty nigh close to perfect. I mean, that was just insane. And real quick, we do have confirmation from our lovely tracker today. Bro will not be joining us in the booth. He has some real life obligations to attend to. Many thanks to Bra for putting on an amazing show today. And with that, it looks like it's just you and I, Cathuman. Well, let's go ahead and get right down to it, shall we? Let's see, what do we have on this notepad today? I guess the first thing, the big one always point out, your Sky Temple keys. How do you feel about those locations?
I feel like they, in themselves, wouldn't have been too bad if it wasn't for where Screw Attack and, you know, the hunt for that.
Yeah, that's
It does seem like they would be bad keys, but like, not really.
yeah. I mean, just going through it. Let's see. Two most essentially. That was great trying to go through out of bounds, bypassing the entirety of the quad. Hydro chamber storage wasn't terrible. Uh, Hive entrance itself, that was a fun one to get around.
Yeah, I almost forgot about it when I was going through Sync.
Yeah, with Hive entrance, the good thing about it, with Screw Attack being right there on Dark Oasis, despite it being such an awful location, at least it was close to your Sanctuary Spider Side elevator to get to Hive entrance relatively quickly.
Yeah, and really thanks to the Chickakee hint, that like the one for Dark Aegon, they pointed me in the right direction. I had a feeling that it was going to be on Dark Oasis itself, but nope, that was Screw Attack.
Well, thankfully that you found your key hint. That really forced your hand in where you should start focusing. And thankfully, it didn't end up too terrible per se, but it really set you ahead of the ballpark.
That start was also pretty terrible because I had got supers, and then you have two choices. You can, because you have Spider and Boost. It's either going to be like you're either thinking Storage C or it's Warrior's Walk, and then I chose to do all of Labs, and there's just nothing there.
Yeah, doing Labs was a smart play. It really sets you up for later. But at least on the bright side, you found both suits next to each other.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, you found your
I was
dark
mainly
suit.
thinking. I mean, because of where Light Beam is, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of. You have to find it. You probably will find it really soon. Hoping
Yeah,
I would just find Screw Attack and then you just go out of bounds and that's it.
I mean, no beams for a majority of it. Well, God, what was it like? Nearly 40 minutes in, you had no beams.
Yeah, you get Space Jump and like Sync Entrance, and then you have to go find your beams. Pretty much your suits, and then you get your first beam, and then you have to go all the way to, I think it was Hazing Cliff to get Dark Beam. Ugh.
Yep.
I
So
was debating whether, because I had Seekers and Boost, I was debating whether to like go through the elevator or go to Sync Spider side. I could have like done the Secret World to get to Sand Canyon before going through labs, and that would have routed cleaner when I went through labs, because once I went through labs the first time, I had to like turn all the way around to go to Warrior's Walk.
yeah, that must have been a fun journey. Now let's see what else was on here. Your bombs were early on the Aegon entrance elevator. Seekers immediately on Temple assembly site. Amber was early on in Aegon. Spider Ball, Emerald Translator, power bombs. Early Aegon was just loaded with almost everything.
Yeah.
Let's see what else is on this list here. So the new hint system that was an interesting choice here. How do you feel about the hints? This new system compared to the old system that we've been using for a while.
I think I like the translator hints like a lot. I think I like working out where things are. The only thing I guess I don't like is the ink caches not being hinted, or even if the hints are turned on, they're not really that useful.
I mean, it's interesting. And you made a good point right there. You had to actually stand back and think about what each room looks like. Where did you find this very specific item? I mean, well, I got a list of hints here, actually. I mean, you had some good hints. A beam on Torvis Plaza. Great. So it gave you exactly where a beam would be. And then you get some strange ones. Let's see. You had a regional temple, had a translator, charge combo submerged in water. Well, thanks. A lot of Lower Torvis has items submerged in water. Movement system near a boost spinner. Well, there's a handful of boost spinners everywhere.
Yeah, I think the boost spinner hint for the movement system was gravity. I just still got it anyway because I was there. And then, oh, what would have been nice? Like if you had the keybearer hints, you would just know screw attack is at Dark Oasis.
I mean, it would have been nice having that information, so probably would have made routing a little bit easier, at least on the mind. But not
Yeah,
having it, now you're really starting to think, well, I have basically every piece of equipment other than screw attack. I can get 99% of the checks in this entire game.
yeah. I was kind of hoping screw attack would be vanilla.
Yeah, we had a
That's
few
where I thought.
members in chat hoping for it. I mean, it seemed like the best option, all else aside.
Yeah, I would have loved that. And
Yeah,
maybe
but
like grapple is difficult to find. That'd be pretty cool.
it would have been nice seeing an actual, somewhat pseudo vanilla playthrough of Vault. You don't see Vault having too much trouble because, well, usually you get your screw attack before Vault.
Yeah, I
But
think. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Like not having screw attack is. I think something that really saved me a lot of time in the seed was getting that Torvis key and Grand Wind Chamber really early.
yeah, speaking of which, that was ridiculous. By the way, your movement. If you watch this back, your movement and execution was just so on point. We were sitting here gobsmacked for a majority of this race.
Yeah, I think like for maybe like a good like I was kind of warming up for like a good 10 or 20 minutes, and then like once I on like my second trip to Temple Grounds, I felt like I was getting more warmed up, and I felt like my movement was a lot better.
Yeah, I will say you and Bra both were just absolutely insane with your tricks today. But that Grand Wind Chamber skip really puts you slightly ahead. But I mean, what even is that? What, some sort of curved scan dash that you pulled off?
Yeah, you BSJ up, and then there's like yeah, you just scan dash to. There's like some invisible collision that you just scan dash on top of.
Well, that's the general rule of echoes. If it looks like you can stand on it, you can basically stand on it.
And if it doesn't look like you can stand on it, you probably can stand on it.
Oh yeah, there's going to be some way to stand on it. All right, I think we've covered basically everything in. But I guess the biggest route difference that pushed you ahead, about 1 hour in, with that 1 hour mark, Brad decided to take a dive into Torvis Bog after getting Light Beam and Supers, while you decided to go towards Sanctuary through Sand Canyon. And I mean, it could be 50-50 which one had the better effect. You finding Dark Beam first, or Brug getting Annihilator for Dark World access.
Yeah,
But
I think it might have been like objectively smarter to go through the elevator because you had the hint for the beam in Torres Plaza, which I guess can't really be dark beam, but
you need Dark Beam to actually get through Forgotten Bridge itself. Not for yeah, because you can't access Forgotten Bridge backwards. You got that orb spinner. If you go through Meditation Vista, you got dark doors all the way leading to Boost Guardian, and Forgotten Bridge Light. That's dark beam doors on both sides of the save station.
yeah, both Grove and I think it's Polluted Mire both have a dark beam door, and then Gate Skip isn't in Logic, of course.
Yeah, no, Gate Skip's Gate Skip's an interesting trick to try to pull off, balancing a morph ball on top of a needle. But other than that, you have anything else on you'd like to say, or anything on your mind before we sign off tonight?
Just, I guess, one little nitpick with my routing maybe is like when I was in Lower Torvis, I think I already had the SDK hints at that point, and I got Dark Visor. Something that would have saved me just like a little bit more time was instead of taking the elevator up to Aegon, is safe warping, and then you get a Cursed Lake, and then you go into Aegon from there. That's pretty much it.
Oh, it's an interesting choice. But regardless, I mean, out of the three people in today's weekly, you were the only one who finished, and surprisingly, at a sub 2 hours.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was surprised this was below 2 hours actually.
and Brad did leave a final comment. Quote, love the unhinted screw attack in Dark Oasis.
Yep, gotta love that.
Yes, indeed. And I think this is a good calling point here. We're gonna stop holding up Speed Gaming's channel. So with that being said, Cat Human, thank you both for putting on a fantastic show today. Absolutely wonderful to see. I mean, both of you, execution, trick wise, logic, knowledge, everything was on point. And I think both of you should be extremely proud for what's happened today.
Yeah,
And
I like to say that.
with that, Op, thank you so much for your wonderful job at tracking today. We always appreciate your help and having you around. And many thanks to Speed Gaming for continuing to host us each week. Yeah, it's always a pleasure doing these events. But other than that, outside of the weeklies, next week's what's today? Today's the 19th, so the 26th. Next week we will have our cross game cup. Teams of two, one playing Prime, one playing Echoes. Which team can beat both games the fastest? Well, you gotta stay tuned until next week to find the answer. But until then, we're all set for tonight. We don't have any information on the finals of the tournament. They're still being set up. So until that time, we're going to call it here. Remember to stay safe. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see everyone next mission.
Yep. Bye.